Most students, probably like yourself, study just to hit the hours, but that mindset is exactly why you don't see results. I studied for 500 hours for my A-levels, but not once did I actually count those hours. And having that mindset for 150 days straight taught me a lot. So in this video today, I'm going to be sharing the 4 biggest things that actually help me stick to it and then get the results that really do matter. So piece of advice number 1 is to stop thinking about hours and start thinking about output. I studied for 500 hours. That's about 3.5 hours per day for 150 days. That doesn't mean anything to me. It just sounds cool and it gets clicks on YouTube. All you need to think about instead is the 1 to 5 main tasks per day that will take you towards getting your dream grades. Some people can get 4 A stars in their A-levels by studying 8 hours per day. Other people can get 4 A stars in their A-levels by studying 3 hours per day. It does not matter, because all that matters to those people is the task they need to do in that time that will take them towards their grades, not the time that they're working for. And to give you a little bit of a head start, the only task that I ever did when it came to revision was learning new content, revising new content, practicing questions, and then testing myself and my friends. That's the 4 tasks that I did, and I did nothing else when it came to revision. Given that we're only focusing on output and not the hours, step 2 is now trying to figure out when you've done enough per day or per week. The subjects that you study aren't always of the same difficulty. So for my A-levels, I studied 4 different subjects: further maths, normal maths, physics, and philosophy. So let's just focus on the first 2. Further maths is 10 times harder than normal maths. Would I put the same amount of effort into both subjects? Of course not. I found further maths way harder, so I put way more effort into that. So what does putting more effort into further math actually look like? It means I do way more past questions. I do way more content revision. I'm not focusing on the hours. I'm thinking about how many topics I can get through in terms of content, learning it, revising it, practicing it, testing a friend. So the main task that I mentioned earlier. I'm doing a greater number of tasks on further maths compared to normal maths, because I find normal maths way easier. Now, people often look for a number of tasks that you need to do per subject, and I can tell you it is not that easy. What you have to do instead is, in step 3, is to develop some sort of intuition towards your work. Quick heads up before we start. On A-level results day this year, so August 14th, I'm releasing a 90-minute masterclass for students in year 10 to year 13 to create the perfect personalized revision system, and that's the only one you ever need to use to get your dream grades. So if you're interested in that, sign up to my waitlist down below so you can get 40% off. Developing intuition comes with experience of studying. I've been studying properly with science-backed techniques and all of my routines for about 3 years now. So I've got a very good grounding and just basic knowledge of what I should and shouldn't be doing. Once you have this intuition or experience, the previous step becomes a whole lot easier. So how do you actually go about and develop intuition and experience? The only thing you can do realistically is to try more and fail more. So let's look in the previous step. Let's say I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew, as a bottom line, further maths was way harder for me than normal maths. What I go about doing when I start out, I'll do a little bit more further maths, let's say 3 tasks per week, and I'll do 1 task of normal maths. That's a good foundation for anyone that you can build on. Because what if it turns out that normal maths was way harder than I expected? I would do the same number of tasks for further maths and normal maths per week if I found out they are actually the same difficulty. Given I studied for around 500 hours, or I think it was 480 in the end, for my A-levels, I developed quite a lot of experience and intuition of what works for me and what doesn't work for me, so that I can get the best grades possible. You just need to do the same. Not prescribe a certain number of hours, but maybe prescribe a certain amount of output per week. Let's say you want to cover a certain number of topics in every subject per week. That's a good threshold to set for yourself. And when it comes to it being philosophy or physics is way harder than normal maths, or further maths is way harder than everything else, you begin to scale your efforts accordingly. And the final piece of advice number 4, on top of everything else, is to work even if you don't see results. I started preparing for my exams 120 days, so 4 months before the exams even started. That's a long time before I could even begin to see any results, because my exams were so far away. If you knew that you would end up achieving the results, you'd obviously go and do the necessary things to go and get started. But at the end of the day, results in your exams aren't guaranteed. So people are more scared to get started because of that. But to develop intuition and to be more aligned in terms of your efforts, you need to try more, gain more experience, and fail more so you can get the best grounding foundations for yourself so that you can achieve the best results possible. So if you did find this video useful, I've got a Discord down below in my description, and I've also got the product coming out on the 14th of August, which I think will be perfect for anyone in years 10 to 13 who wants to get the dream grades in their exams. So if you're interested in those are the top 2 links in my description. But before then, I'll see you in the next video.